this moment together, and here's the really potent thing about what we're doing right now, is we're doing it together. And we are definitely taught to hide our shadow from other people, right? So it is not a typical thing, which means your results don't get to be typical, which means that you are doing groundbreaking work for yourself and everyone else connected to you. We don't usually get together and look at our shadow. That's the thing we don't lead with on a date. We don't want people to know about ourselves. We don't call up a prospect and go, I've got a really great business opportunity for you. And also, I yelled at my kids today, right? That's not what we're leading with. We're trying to hide that stuff. It doesn't, but it's rotting you from the inside. So right now we get to radically accept ourselves where we are. We get to shine that light that Nicole was talking about. We see you. I don't have to know every one of you to tell you that I authentically love you. And you might be saying, you know what, you don't know me and you don't know the crappy stuff I've done. I can promise you that between the collective experience that Nicole and I have gone through and the people that we have served, there isn't anything that could make us say otherwise, right? Because we also understand what a big soul you are that has been through a lot of stuff, this or other times, right? And this shame piece lives in the shadow. It's its favorite place. So when Nicole said that I put that big spotlight on her, that love put that spotlight, right? That was divine. I don't even take all the credit, right? I just surrendered to love. When that spotlight hit that space, it was like putting the sun on your moldy basement, right? Because we really do stay as distorted as what we are wanting to hide. And you don't have to put in the chat all the stuff you're going through, although you're welcome to share what you need to, right? You literally just get to go, wow, I'm letting this in right now. I'm putting this spotlight on here. And I understand that shame is this offender of growth. And I am not going to keep it all hidden right now. I am choosing to not shame myself. I'm choosing to look at all these parts of myself and just go, well, I can actually look at it without necessarily having to shame myself. We were just talking about being an entrepreneur before and how it's a lot like relationships. And being in a relationship, I love it. Nicole and I focus mostly on business and relationships when we help our private clients. And the funny thing is that people always think they've got their shit together. You're like, yeah, everything's good. I'm like doing great. And then they meet somebody and they're like, why is everything on fire? Right? Because all of your stories are coming up, all those unintegrated parts, all of those shadows. Well, same when we have a business. And then somebody says, oh, share what you want to share with me. Get on this live, call somebody up, connect. Oh, and then you get kicked in the belly and you're going, I'm not good enough. I'm this, I'm that, all of these things. And every up level. Here is why it matters to hear this, whether you've been in business for 20 years and you're, kicking butt and all of these things, or you're just starting. Every up level that we have, which if you're an entrepreneur or just on a conscious growth pattern, everything you look for is up level, right? You're like, take me to the next level, right? We understand. And level's not a perfect word, but take me through my evolution. I understand that this is a train ride. I want to continue to grow throughout my life. Right? What is a business that doesn't want to grow? That's not going to go very far, right? So everything in your business is like, I'm going to grow and expand and scale and expand and, all of the good things. But every time you do that, you're going to be at a crossroads because it's going to take that jar that is you, right? That jar with nice clean water in it, but it's got sand on the bottom. That's your shadow. And you're going to shake it up. And now all the water is muddy and you have a choice. Because either in that point, you can sabotage and upper limit yourself into oblivion, which means you feel like you hit that glass ceiling and you're going to find all sorts of subconscious or conscious and combination of the two to light the house on fire. Or you get to decide, and this was apparently people's favorite quote from our last seminar that we just did, you can decide to not let sabotage, which is like a drunk driver driving your life around and crashing into telephone poles. You decide you are going to drive it, right? You are going to take control. Because sabotage, we'll talk about this at the end again, sabotage is always going to be there. That piece, that part of your subpersonality that kind of skirts the line of being your shadow as well, that part is always going to be there. The question is whether you are letting it drive your reality in your life, right? Or you're not. And, I love this idea of thinking about shadow and our undigested parts. Like Nicole and I were talking today, and she was like, it's like a hot air balloon, right? Your life and your business and all your goals, it's like, let's go up. And then you're like, wait, one more bag. And the balloon is just, right? And if you dump enough crap in there, it's just not going anywhere, right? And that is part of that sabotage. It's like, I'm going to take it all with me, and I'm not going to integrate any of it. I'm not going to look at it, and I'm just going to keep treating myself like crap 100% of the time. And we don't want to do that. So what? There's no shame in this house. I wish I could hear you guys. No shame in this house, right? So we're letting go of that because we need to move this energy. So shadow. Well, there's two really big parts of shadow that we work with, right? That I think if shadow is a big topic. But if you think about it, there's kind of two big parts of shadow. There's the stuff you've adopted, and then there's the stuff you've been through. All right, so let's talk about collective shadow for a second. And I want to talk about one piece of collective shadow that's really, really big, right? And to whatever extent we can put a chip in that, or some of you guys might want to just put that down on the floor today and go, I don't really want that one, is somehow in one version or another, we were all born and adopted at some point, but we don't really realize we adopted it. This concept that we are inherently bad, right? Or maybe if some of you guys are a little more honest, you notice that most humans on this planet at some point or another have said in their lifespan, either to themselves or out loud, I'm a piece of shit. And it occurred to me that is unbelievable, right? How did we adopt this giant collective shadow part, this voice that just comes in and goes, you're bad, right? And that is not necessarily, it could be connected to an experience you had where somebody told you were bad or you felt you were bad, but it really is something that we hold as a collective, a giant cloud. And everybody's kind of sucking on it and absorbing it. So first of all, I just want you to be observant of it. If you have ever noticed yourself saying something like that to yourself or feeling something like that, right? And if any of you guys have not, awesome, right? Thank you for holding it down. But I will be very honest that I have also felt that in my life. I have absorbed that and gone, where is this really coming from? And do you know what it looks like when you hold that, right? This is why we're bringing it out of the closet and we're taking a look at it. What does somebody's health, wealth, and love look like if they think that they are a piece of shit? If I tell Nicole, I'm really a piece of shit, is she really excited to sign up for more time being married to me? I feel like I may convince her otherwise, right? Not to mention, I'm going to be projecting to her this. So I'm looking for a confirmation bias or a self-fulfilling prophecy for her to come back around and be like, you actually are, because I'll start to do things to reinforce that. Not to mention I'm inserting this idea into reality. Also, is anyone looking to give like a raise or a job to like the piece of shit in the hallway? I feel like they're probably passing that, right? They're not like, oh my God, I can't wait to bonus you. You are the person that's sticking out to me. And our body that Nicole was talking about, that molecular change in structure that we are poisoning with our belief and our verbiage is causing that dis-ease in our body.
Yes.
And you see this one collective thought form that has sneaked in for most people, started to corrode it. And so if you're going, well, what do I do with it now? First thing I want you to do is question if this is really yours, right? Because if it came from somewhere outside of you, and it did, I promise you were not born as a beautiful, perfect, wonderful baby. If any of you guys have children, little children, I mean, imagine your little children. If any of you guys know a little child, any of you guys like want to just imagine you as a little child.
Oh, babe.
Right? I wish we had like pictures we could show up. Nicole was the cutest baby
God, what a head.
ever.
Big old head.
Could you imagine walking up to a perfect, beautiful little 1-year-old child and just saying, I know it's a little shocking, but just being like, you're really a piece of shit. I hope you know that. That's what you're going to amount to in this lifetime. Like, could anyone actually imagine doing that? That is what you are doing to this little kid inside of you, right? That is what we are allowing ourselves to absorb. And so for some of you guys that are ready, just like taking a stand inside of yourself, like, you know what? I don't know where this comes from, but it does not need to continue to be my narrative. I don't know where this comes from necessarily, but I do not consent. And you know what? We'll use this one or a version. If this one doesn't resonate for you, we're about to do an exercise. Okay. So if this one is really like clicking for you, you can hold on to it. But you just already looking at it and realizing that it is not born from that original perfect state we were talking about. Like, you guys at core, at essence, at source, at whatever you want to call it, you are all those things that are a miracle.
Yes.
You are all those things that are love and abundance and goodness and all of that. And it is these distortions that have been brought up within us that interfere with that state. You're not a miracle sometimes. Miracles don't happen to you sporadically. It is your constant state that you are interrupting with your parts, with your traumas, with your fears, with your beliefs. That is a totally different way of looking at it. We think miracles and good things happen to us instead of realizing it's our constant state of accessible possibility, right? And that's why we're looking at and shifting these pieces. And you get to choose not to believe that too. I know that feels really hard to imagine, that you don't have to believe that thing, but you don't have to believe it. And you get to start taking a stand for it in this moment.